Hello, Revere, and welcome to another great show. Today we have a Ward 6 councillor. His name is Charlie Patch. He's been a councillor for 10 years. Charlie, let me welcome you to the show.
Always a pleasure, Morris.
Thank you for coming, and it's been a long time since I spoke to you on the show, but it's a pleasure to have you here. Before we start, tell us a little about yourself.
Well, Morris, I was born in Revere at the Revere Memorial, so I could say I'm a lifetime member of Revere.
Is that what the lighthouse is now?
Yes.
Okay.
Actually, my father and mother were born there too.
Wow.
But I grew up in the Immaculate Conception area. I went to the Immaculate Conception School for 12 years. I had the pleasure of having the Sisters of St. Joseph teach me. They were very tough, disciplined, but I believe they gave me a great education.
Question, usually when I spoke to people that went to parochial school, they always told me about the nuns that walked around with a ruler. Is that true?
Well, I think they all had their own little personal means of punishment.
Oh, they did?
Some pull ears, some use rulers, but it worked.
Definitely. No offense, man. I think your generation, my generation, was a little bit more disciplined than today's generation.
Oh, big time. Yeah. Big time. So after graduation, as you know, I graduated in 1966, and that was when the Vietnam War was going on. Vietnam War era, really.
How long were you in there for the service during the Vietnam
I was
War?
in the U.S. Marine Corps for 4 years. I spent 1 year in Vietnam.
Right, before we continue, I want to thank you for your service.
And I want to thank you for your service.
Thank you. You know, you were one of the greatest generation, but you wasn't given credit for being it. Anyone that puts on a military uniform is part of our greatest generation. But the Vietnam veterans were not treated fairly when they came home.
That is true. I mean, when I was stationed stateside, we were told not to wear our uniforms.
Not to wear it?
Not to wear them on off base. But I'll tell you a story. When I came home to visit my mother and father, they wanted to go to church, and they wanted me to wear my uniform. And I got the utmost respect from the people of Revere when I went to Immaculate in my uniform. So I had no problems in Revere wearing a uniform at that time. But elsewhere, there was problems.
Where did you take your basic training for the Marine Corps?
Paris Island.
Oh.
And whatever every Marine basic training was. I either went to Paris Island or San Diego. I went to Paris Island for boot camp, Camp Geiger for infantry training. I was sent down to Fort Sherman in Puerto Rico after that, because at that time, if you remember, they had a problem in Vietnam with the M16s.
That's what we used, the rifle, the M16 rifle.
That's what we used.
Yep.
That's what they started to use in Vietnam. But they were kind of failing in the battlefield, so they sent a bunch of us, they called us recruits at that time, because we were just finishing up our basic training. But they sent us to Fort Sherman, which was the Army Jungle Training School, and they wanted to test them, the rifles. So I spent a couple of months down there.
Was General Ridgway at that time one of the officers, generals in the Vietnam War?
Who's that?
Ridgway.
Oh, I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember. I don't remember that.
Oh.
But other than that, when I got out of the Marine Corps in '71, I held a couple of jobs. I became a telephone employee, and then they were going to lay me off, and the police job came up. So I started my police career in in the early 70s in Malding, and then after a year and a half, I came to Revere. So
I'm going to ask you a question about the police, but I'll say this to you, Charlie. Every veteran that comes out of the service, being a police officer, and especially if you've been in the constabulary, it's helpful to try to get onto the police force. So give us an idea of what police basic training is like, how you first start, and what you do.
Well, basically, when I was in Revere, when I started in '75 in Revere, 1975, I started, of course, you started as a patrolman, and which I really enjoyed working in a cruiser. And in those days, we had two-man cars, so it was a believe it or not, it was a very enjoyable job.
How many weeks does it take the training for a police officer, or months, if I should?
I believe we did about 12 weeks
So
at
that's
that time.
about 3 months.
Yeah. Well,
And what does the basic consist of?
just basically
Shooting,
learning the
rifle?
laws. The range. We did self-defense tactics, first aid. Basically all the things that you would need as a police officer.
Right. When you were a police officer, the American people were a lot more respectable for the police than some of them are today, as you look around you.
I believe it was a much easier job back in my day
That's what I
than
mean.
it is today. Yeah,
Right.
I really feel for the young officers today with all the bad publicity. It's just for a couple of bad apples. 99.9% of the police are
Right. Now, did
good.
they have cameras wearing at your time when you
No.
first? None of that stuff?
No, not even in existence.
And the police cars that they have where they can put your fingerprint in or, get information? Al pronto?
No. It just started. I retired in 2008, January 2008.
And when did you start?
I started in '75.
Wow. so
74, actually 74.
That's about 31, 32
2
years.
32 years, yes.
I got to shake your hand again for that one, Charlie. That is really
Thank you, Morris.
community service.
Yes, yes.
Boy, it's a pleasure to have you on there. Charlie, I'd like to speak to you about a couple of other things, but I want to get back to that later.
Yeah.
I'd like to talk about, let's see, this is something that I never heard. What's this, Griswold,
Well,
St. Mary's
that's
Park?
one of my projects that I really enjoy was watching it grow. As you know, St. Mary's, they had to put Hill Park somewhere, and they end up putting it down in back of St. Mary's Church.
Is that the one on Washington?
On Washington Ave.
Right.
So they had two ballparks there. They were playing baseball, softball then. So they added a third park. It made a complex. It come out. Believe me, there was a lot of hard work for the people who ran at the time it was called the St. Mary's Baseball League, but they control. What happened is the city took it over from the Catholic Church, the property, and they made a complex of three fields. The high school girls softball play there also. There's still some work to do there. We still got to put a building. The money's already been on the books for it, and it's just waiting for the design and to be completed. Then we need restrooms. It's for a concession stand and storage area. But it's and we got to fix out some drainage problems down there.
Question. I'd like to talk about the Revere High School. We keep talking about building a new high school. Have they decided where they're going to put the new high school, or that's still up in the air?
Actually, I am not in that circle. I know they're working to the school committee, who's doing a fine job, trying to have a master plan, And I believe, I don't know, actually know what the year is, but it's going to have to be done eventually. They're going to have a new high school.
And where would it, have they thought of a location where it would go?
That's a problem. There's not very much area in the city left to put
Suffolk
it.
Downs, big place.
Yeah, but I don't.
No
you know,
go.
I don't. To be honest with you, Morris. I have.
Wonderland.
Wonderland would be great. I mean, Necco would be great, but they got other plans for, they got other plans, and the developers, they look to make money, not give away land. So
That's
I mean,
true.
that's going to be a difficult thing to do. But they'll come up with either if they have to build it next to the where the high school is now, and then. I know they do have a plan. They hopefully they could do the high school, and then turn the old high school maybe into a general middle school, and then all these other schools would be
You mean
elementary
consolidate
schools.
the other schools into?
Yeah, all into one middle school. That'd be ideal, but that'd do away with the.
But they just built a new school down on Park Avenue.
Yes. That's an elementary school. Yes.
Okie dokie.
So it's gonna it's in good hands with the Superintendent Kelly and the school committee. So
That's good.
Basically all we do as councilors is, when it comes to the school department is write the checks. They come for the money.
Oh, that's it?
That's it. We don't do much. They do the planning, and they've done a fine job over the past three the current and the other two administrations while I've been councilor. So.
Well, since the councils write the check, I would like to write them one nice check for the Revere Senior Center. Now, you've been down there.
Yes.
You've seen some of the problems we have, like the railings in the front, the parking lot in the back, and sitting in the council. Maybe the next time they have a council meeting to bring that up, that we could use some of that free cash that they have to, if we can, to improve it.
No, we've brought it up, as you know, several times.
Right, but nothing has been done
And
several times.
and I'm sure the mayor's working on.
The mayor's doing a terrific job,
trying
but,
to,
you know.
But it's up to, we'll give him whatever he wants. I mean,
Right.
I go way back in that building because I was
Telephone, right.
Well, no, that was before my time. Actually, they sold it when they sold it to the Knights of Columbus.
Right.
And I was at the time, they had an organization, the Columbian Squires, which were like Junior Knights of Columbus. And that's where all the kids in my neighborhood, we used to play shoot pool in there, and we were like another organization. We had a basketball team. It was a lot of fun growing up, and going in there. And then I became a knight after that.
Oh, that's fantastic. Charlie, I got a couple of questions here that I got. There's one here I'll ask you. When you were on the police force, what were some of the toughest things you did? I mean, you came across there. Was it drunk driving and fighting?
That's a tough question because
domestic violence.
Actually, over my whole career,
do you remember?
I had several.
Don't mention names. Though,
no, I will never mention names.
But you remember some of your incidents?
Yes, we had. I held different jobs as a police officer. I held. I was a detective. I worked in domestic violence. I worked over at the Chelsea Court as the representative for the police department. So, but I had, like I was on patrol one time up in North Revere, I got a call of a loud party, and I came across a car that was just in the middle of the road. It was like 1:30 in the morning, very dark up there, and
in the middle of the road.
In the middle of the road, and the guy laying on the street, and I thought it was, somebody that had a little too much to drink. But unfortunately, it was somebody I just missed it. He was actually shot, so, it just little incidents like that. You bump into, it's like, you don't forget.
Here's a good question for you. When you first started out of the police force, and then 31 years later, when you first started, compared that drug problem with year 1 and when you retired at year 31, what was it like? I mean, did it go up, 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 up?
Well, it was different drugs. I mean, you had mostly at the beginning of my career was marijuana
right.
and cocaine, and it was not too many incidents. Then the heroin started picking up, and towards the end of my career, we did have overdoses, but not like today. But they didn't have the narcon, and
right.
So it was less use of it. But it was you still had your fatalities. It was. But after I got off, it really, as you know today, it's like. It's really out of control.
There's another great police officer on the Revere Police, well, he's retired now, who goes around saying, say no to drugs.
Oh, my dear friend, Mickey.
Oh,
Mickey Casoli.
Yeah.
I can mention his name because I love him.
Well, he still does a fantastic job.
Yes, he does, yeah. He was on, I actually worked with Mickey at the beginning of my career, yeah. For quite a few years, yeah. Okay. He was on the job with me. Yeah, he did a good job in the drug unit. Yes, he did.
You're still doing it.
Yeah.
Which is great. Thank you, Mickey. Now, I have to ask you, besides yourself being in the military, were there any other members of your family that were in the military?
Well, actually, my namesake, my Uncle Charlie Batch, my father's brother, was in before World War II. He joined the Navy in the late 30s. And he was at Pearl Harbor when it got bombed, and he was at all the big battles in World War II, and he ended up making a career out of it, 20 years, and he ended up marrying a Japanese woman, and came back to Revere. They bought their first house on Waite Street. And but he had the urge to go back. He ended up living in Hawaii, and he passed in Hawaii. And his ashes are now
all spread out over the sea there.
No, they at the park in Hawaii where the Arizona is.
Oh.
So, yeah, he was my.
That's at the same cemetery where Ernie Pyle is buried. Then.
Pardon me?
Ernie Pyle, that used to be a newspaper reporter that got killed?
Yes. Yeah.
Cemetery of the Pacific. That's the one I was thinking of.
Yeah.
That's where he's buried
at?
Yep.
Well, his ashes are there.
I went to the memorial of the USS Arizona, and then when I watched the news on the American Heroes channel, I'm sure you watched that too, they showed the attack on Pearl Harbor, December the 7th.
Yeah. Yep. Unfortunately, my uncle was there.
Yeah. That was a brutal 2,000 plus killed, and 2,000 plus killed at the World Trade Towers.
Right.
Yeah, we're losing a lot of Americans.
Yes, it was over the years. I know, and one thing I want to point out is if anybody that really wants to know, like, my era, like coming out of school in the mid or late 60s, PBS just did a great job on
the Vietnam War.
Yeah,
they showed that. It's on now.
And that's, I think it, but you could, on demand you could probably get it now. Yep. And everybody should watch that because they take both sides, and they did a very good job, and it kind of brought back a lot of memories.
Well, we took over for the French. The French, when they were defeated at Dien, I can't pronounce the name, Phu. then we took over their job for them, and we got stuck with it.
Yes, unfortunately, yeah.
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 And we lost quite a few people. I think something like 50,000 troops we lost in that war,
What?
the Vietnam War.
Yeah, 58 or something?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
58,000.
And in World War II, we lost 450,000. That's a lot of lives.
Yeah.
And we're still fighting to this very day. We're in Afghanistan today, Iraq.
Right.
Freedom is not free, Charlie. Freedom is not free.
No, hopefully the new generation can handle it in the future for us.
I mentioned to you Suffolk Downs. Something came across here. Amazon. Do you know anything what Amazon's intentions are to do with Suffolk Downs, number one? And number two, does that mean racing is going to be completely eliminated and put all those people out of work? Or are they going to get jobs somewhere else?
I don't know. I think the plan is to find employment for them, but I believe the horse racing will probably be gone.
No more horse racing at Suffolk?
I don't see them developing there with the horse racing, but again, I haven't been told anything that's not public, so I don't have any. I know the developers are very good. They're going to develop it.
Can you mention who the developers are?
Tim O'Brien.
Yep, that name rings a bell.
And he came before us a couple of meetings ago and gave us a little outlook of what he had in mind. But as far as Amazon, that's.
Are they talking about building their main office facility at Suffolk Downs, Amazon?
No, they've offered it to everybody, all states, to come up with a proposal, and but I believe Suffolk Downs is probably just what they're looking for. I mean, they got the blue line, they got it's big enough, and I just think it's a possibility. I think it's the best one for the state of Massachusetts, and I think the governor probably agrees with us, but I can't speak for the governor.
As a councillor, Charlie, what would you like to see for the future of the city? If you could do anything you wanted, what would you do for the future of the city?
Well, it's a changing city, and
it's a diversified city
very
now.
diversified, and it's amazing. It's even my street, it's very diverse. And,
my street too now.
And it's fun to watch the different families playing together out in the street. Like when we grew up, nobody stayed in the house. Everybody played out in the street, and to see them riding their bikes, little kids, on the street again, it's good.
It is good.
But we gotta really. I'm not really too many rentals. We're getting into too many rentals, and as I didn't vote for Shaw's because I thought it was kind of too big for the.
I live right behind Shaw's, by the way, exactly behind it where they're building that project. Now, I don't care. At my age, I don't worry one way or the other.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop what they call progress. But the younger folks that live on my street, they were adamantly against it.
Yeah, well, it's just if you think back to the 70s and 80s, down like off of Ward Street, how they were beautiful when they were built. You know what I mean? It was, and those were like condos too, which condos is a much better way to go than I believe than rentals, because at least you get more commercial based taxes for it. And, but if I watched that over the years as a police officer change. We got many calls during the later part of my career. You get a lot of calls here. It was when it became more rentals, instead of other condos. They either sold them and then they end up just being rental property. So you know, the way that they're throwing up these rentals today, what's going to happen 20 years down the road? You know, who knows?
That's right. I have to tell you, when I walk out of the house on my street, I feel like I'm in 7 different continents, really, with different people from each walk of life. But it's beautiful, though, you know?
Yeah, and everybody...
That's what makes America so great.
Yeah, and like everybody's getting along. It's good, you know. It's a different world.
Charlie, we have 2.5 minutes left. Take 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes and wrap it up with whatever you'd like to talk about.
Well, Morris, thank you.
First, it was an honor and a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's always an honor talking to you.
I don't make much sense, but
no, you always make sense, and you got such a good sense of humor that you make people laugh, and it's.
Hey, you know, there's a song I play. I do DJ music at the senior center. And I wish
saw
a lot
you.
of people would come down. But there's a song, when you're smiling, the whole world smiles with you. When you're laughing, the whole world laughs with you. But when you cry all alone.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Yeah.
Okay, you got 1.5 minutes left.
Well, I just for Ward 6, my area, it's just been a pleasure the last couple of years because we finally got a couple of groups together, the North Revere neighborhood group.
Question real quick, because we only have a minute. Crime Watch, do they have Crime Watch?
Yes, we do Crime Watch.
Good.
And it's a great group, small group, that do great work in North Revere. We meet constantly, monthly, and we've accomplished a lot. And the same thing in the West Revere neighborhood group that have done such great things, like the dog. They put the dog park in, and they've cleaned up that area around Sargent and Malden Street. They're going to put a mural on the under the overpass on Sargent Street. They put the lighting. It's so good to see concerned citizens work, but unfortunately, it's a small. Both of them are a small group, and it seems like it's always the same people that want to improve the ward. So we hope. I want people who will see this in my ward. Find out when the groups are meeting, and please come to our meetings.
Good. Charlie, I want to say it was an honor and a pleasure to have you come up here. God bless you. And good luck on what you're doing.
Yeah.
And good luck on your voting time.
All right.
I want to thank you, and I want to thank the people of Revere for listening. I want to thank our military. God bless our military, those that are serving and those that have served. But most of all, God bless the people of Revere and our great country, the United States of America. And thank you all for listening. Till the next time. Thank you.